Scientists unveil new sleep mystery, mitochondria's role in sleep regulation. Have we been looking for the secret to sleep in all the wrong places? For decades, we've believed that the command to rest comes from the brain as a whole. But groundbreaking new research suggests the true timekeepers are far, far smaller, operating on a scale almost too tiny to imagine. Deep inside our nerve cells, within the microscopic power plants known as mitochondria, a cellular clock may be ticking away the moments we're awake, ultimately deciding when it's time to power down. This shifts our entire understanding of sleep from a neurological event to a fundamental process of cellular maintenance. A team of scientists at the University of Oxford, spearheaded by Gero Meisenboek, has presented compelling evidence from their work with the common fruit fly, Drosophila melanogaster. Their findings point to an astonishing conclusion. The very same organelles responsible for producing ATP, the universal energy currency of our cells, are also the ones that can throw the switch on our consciousness, initiating sleep. So, how do these tiny structures track our need for sleep? The concept of sleep pressure, that mounting feeling of drowsiness after a long day, has always been a bit of a puzzle. Scientists couldn't pinpoint a specific molecule that accumulates in the brain to say, okay, that's enough wakefulness for today. This new study proposes that the signal isn't a separate molecule at all, but a byproduct of the mitochondria's own activity. The researchers focused on a cluster of sleep-inducing neurons located in a region of the fly's brain known as the dorsal fan-shaped body, a well-established sleep control center. They observed that after the flies were kept awake for extended periods, these specific neurons ramped up the genes associated with mitochondrial energy production. And this is the part most people miss. When these neurons are otherwise quiet but their mitochondria are still running, much like an engine left idling, a problem arises. The mitochondrial energy production line, called the respiratory chain, starts to leak. This leakage releases highly unstable molecules called reactive oxygen species, ROS. Think of these as tiny, uncontrolled chemical sparks that fly off the production line and damage nearby structures, particularly the fatty membranes of the cell. As this oxidative damage accumulates, Meisenboek explains, the cell reaches a critical point where the only logical solution is to initiate a system-wide shutdown for repairs. In essence, the sleep-regulating part of the brain is constantly checking in on its own mitochondria to gauge how much wear and tear has occurred when the damage threshold is crossed. The science of sleep. Why your brain needs rest. Ever felt like your brain is practically screaming for sleep, no matter how hard you try to push through? You're not alone, and scientists may have finally uncovered the real reason behind this relentless demand for rest. But here's where it gets controversial. It's not just about feeling tired or needing to recharge your mind. The true culprit might be hiding deep inside your cells, in the very engines that keep you alive. A recent study, highlighted by Derek Lowe at science.org, dives into the age-old mystery of why living creatures, humans, animals, even tiny insects, are biologically compelled to sleep. Forget about the obvious signs like yawning or heavy eyelids, and set aside the well-known benefits like improved memory or hormone regulation. The real question is, what triggers that fundamental, almost irresistible urge to shut down and sleep? And this is the part most people miss. The answer may lie in your mitochondria, the microscopic powerhouses inside every cell. In a fascinating experiment, researchers examined the brains of fruit flies that had been kept awake for extended periods. They discovered that a whopping 122 genes suddenly became active in a specific sleep-regulating region of the brain. Most of these genes were essentially sending out an SOS, repair the mitochondria and reset the brain's electrical signals. The longer the flies stayed awake, the more their brain cells' mitochondria began to break down, get recycled, or scavenge for spare parts, clear evidence that the cells were desperately trying to restore their energy supply. Even more intriguing, when scientists manipulated the energy production process, they could actually make the flies feel more alert or more drowsy. Their main takeaway? When too many electrons get stuck in the cell's energy pathways, the brain interprets this as a crisis and demands sleep to clear the backlog. This discovery flips our understanding of tiredness on its head. Instead of being a vague, subjective feeling, fatigue is now seen as a concrete warning sign of an energy emergency at the cellular level. It also sheds light on why certain illnesses, like rare mitochondrial diseases or the persistent exhaustion seen in long COVID, can leave people feeling utterly drained, no matter how much they rest. But here's a point that could spark debate. If sleep is truly about fixing our cellular batteries, does that mean we can ever really catch up on lost sleep? Or are we just patching over deeper problems? Some experts argue that trying to make up for missed sleep might actually do more harm than good. What do you think? Is sleep just a nightly recharge? Or is there more going on beneath the surface? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with this new theory? Or do you have your own ideas about why we need sleep? Share your opinions in the comments. Let's get the conversation started. How brain mitochondria drive sleep. New insights from fruit flies. Imagine this. The tiny powerhouses inside your brain cells might hold the key to why you feel an irresistible urge to sleep after pulling an all-nighter. It's a bold claim, but new research suggests that mitochondria, those microscopic energy factories in our cells, could play a pivotal role in regulating sleep. And here's where it gets even more fascinating. This connection isn't just theoretical. It has been observed in fruit flies with potential implications for humans. Scientists have long known that sleep deprivation triggers a cascade of changes within the brain. For instance, neurons begin firing differently, cellular structures shift, and gene expression patterns transform as the body struggles to cope with prolonged wakefulness. Researchers have also identified specific neurons tied to sleep initiation. However, what remains less clear is how these neurons receive their marching orders to signal the need for rest. Enter Gero Meisenbuch, a scientist at the University of Oxford who has dedicated his career to unraveling the mysteries of sleep, one of biology's greatest puzzles. To dig deeper into this enigma, Meisenbuch and his team turned to fruit flies, Drosophila melanogaster, creatures whose sleep cycles mirror aspects of human slumber. Female fruit flies, which snooze for about 13 to 16 hours daily, became the focus of their investigation. Using advanced sequencing techniques and fluorescent markers, the researchers examined the genes expressed by neurons located in the insect's sleep centers. The experiment divided the flies into two groups. One allowed uninterrupted sleep, and another deliberately kept awake through gentle shaking or genetic manipulation that activated wake-promoting neurons via temperature increases. Among the sleep-deprived group, something remarkable emerged. The neurons responsible for inducing sleep cranked up the activity of genes linked to mitochondrial function and maintenance. These mitochondria showed signs of stress, such as fragmenting into smaller units, clearing out damaged components, and forming connections with neighboring structures to facilitate repairs. But why would mitochondria experience stress during extended wakefulness? According to Meisenbuch, the answer lies in their relentless energy production. Even when neurons are inactive, mitochondria continue churning out energy, leading to a buildup of leaking electrons. These electrons generate free radicals, unstable molecules capable of damaging DNA, and create a biological push towards sleep. Once the flies were finally permitted to rest, the mitochondrial damage was repaired, suggesting that sleep serves as a critical recovery period for these essential organelles. To further test their hypothesis, the researchers engineered some flies to have fragmented mitochondria in their sleep-regulating neurons. These insects slept significantly less than normal and failed to compensate for lost sleep afterward. In contrast, flies with mitochondria engineered to fuse more efficiently, a sign of enhanced repair mechanisms, slept longer and rebounded more strongly following sleep deprivation. This finding underscores the idea that mitochondria actively contribute to the growing pressure to sleep. In another intriguing twist, the team manipulated flies to increase mitochondrial activity in response to light exposure. Remarkably, just 1 hour of artificial illumination increased sleep duration by 20 to 25% compared to control subjects. This reinforces the notion that mitochondrial behavior is closely tied to sleep regulation. While the study focused on fruit flies rather than humans, its relevance extends beyond insect biology. Mitochondria are remarkably similar across species, meaning that insights gained from studying flies could illuminate processes occurring in humans. Ryan Mallew, a researcher at McGill University in Canada, explains that aerobic metabolism, the process by which cells convert nutrients and oxygen into energy within mitochondria, may drive sleep pressure in people too. If true, this discovery opens exciting possibilities for developing targeted treatments for sleep disorders. This provides us with novel opportunities to target these pathways, says Mallew, and come up with innovative, effective ways to treat individuals struggling with sleep issues. Such advancements could revolutionize how we approach conditions like insomnia or chronic fatigue. However, not everyone agrees entirely with the study's conclusions. Michele Bellesi, a neuroscientist at the University of Camerino in Italy, acknowledges the paper's strength but raises concerns about its methodology. He argues that sleep deprivation involves factors beyond mere extended wakefulness, potentially introducing additional stressors that complicate interpretation. It may trigger cellular responses unrelated to sleep pressure accumulation, Bellesi notes. Miesenboek counters this critique by pointing out that his team employed multiple methods, including non-stressful temperature manipulations, to keep the flies awake, all yielding consistent results. What this study reveals, he emphasizes, is that the sleep homeostat monitors its own mitochondria to gauge the need for rest. So, does this mean mitochondria are the unsung heroes, or perhaps villains of our nightly battles with sleep? Could targeting them offer solutions to widespread sleep problems? Or do other factors still lurk beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered? Share your thoughts below. Do you agree with the researchers, or do you think there's more to the story?